So, good afternoon, happy Monday. We're here for creating Wellness Wow Days, so the day you change your life for the better. And of course, our aspiring better human has said, I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon. And he is here with me.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning from New York. We're so global and international here, aren't we?
Yeah, good morning, good evening, and good night. Hopefully it's not the middle of the night. And I just got the ping up to say it was actually streaming through. So guys, if you are with us and tuning in and listening, of course, as always, drop in your thoughts, comments, and questions. But we are here to talk about your intuition and creating powerful results, because we are now in the second half, third quarter of 2023. Oh, look, Robert's standing.
Oh, Rob's here. Hello, Rob. How are you, my friend?
See, we're loved. There's a lot of love in the house. So, you've had recent experience with this, haven't you, Will, of trusting your intuition?
Yep. So, first let me say how excited I am to be here with you. So thank you for the invite. And it's just so fitting because I do believe it was 6 months ago to the day that we did a live with Michael Mintz, and we were just kicking off the new year. And here we are 6 months later. I started the year off with my mantra of doing less to be more. I was the guy running around crazy, running around with scissors. And by the end of last year, I was exhausted. So I intentionally took a break, and I've been thoughtful and intentional about 2023. And that's what I would love to talk to you about. I have just learned so much, and I love being part of your show, because you and I think, love to be unscripted and go where the energy takes us. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm going to do the quick hello, because obviously we've got Gail joining us from Barbados. I think Dr. Shetty is over in India. Lizanne is joining us on YouTube. Fantastic. Obviously, guys, if you do have to tag off and want an easy link up, you can jump over to YouTube later because it will still be there. Thunder from Nigeria. Wow, we've got a worldwide show, so I'm gonna probably have to do a flag at some point for one of these shows, but you know. But like you, this is why actually when you said about doing this, because I kind of had the mantra, me put myself first, and of course, obviously, for the first quarter, I struggled with the post-COVID distress respiratory system, finding it really tough to even just get the energy to do something exciting. And then all of a sudden into the second quarter going, okay, I've got to put myself, what do I need to do? I'm feeling good. What do I need to do? Straight away, I did a meditation course. I did a business course. And I was like, okay, these are things, let's get back into it. And that's why I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing.
Our energy across the pond, we've got good energy going on.
Well, yeah, we've got, everyone's coming in. Look. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay,
you've got an American audience here. You've got a heavily American audience here today.
I actually normally do.
Wow.
I do.
Well, we do speak the same language. We sound funny to one another, but we speak the same language.
Hey, you guys think my accent's cute? I think yours is cute. It works really well.
It does work.
But again, we're talking about intuition. So let's get back onto track, because we both said how this year we've trusted our intuition more and things are going in the right direction. Obviously, we've still got dreams and aspirations. So guys, one thing, intuition isn't about getting a result and finishing. It is about the journey. We're always about the journey. So I'm sorry, I got one last comment to flash up. You got your present of your.
That's David. He's been a super huge help in my transformation. So he gets a lot of credit for being a coach who took the guy with the scissors in his hands to kind of taught me how to breathe, right?
Yeah.
You do that. You need to know how to breathe and calm down and slow down.
So let's start there. I'm going to ask, because obviously you're saying that you were this guy with the scissors in the hand. Okay. So you get to this point and you're saying this year, obviously you set your mantra. What was the sort of pinpoint to make you sort of change what you were doing or to seek external help?
A long answer, and I'll try to be as short as I can because I talk too much sometimes. I, for decades, worked in one place, one physical building one space. I met tons of people, loved what I did, decided to not do that anymore. And it was the COVID, the pandemic, and the lockdowns, like many people on planet Earth, had to reassess what they wanted to do and how they wanted to spend their energy. When I ended my career in that world at the Met, I was then free. And I was someone who could do whatever it was that I wanted to do. I didn't have to run things by lawyers and designers and colleagues. It was like, I want to use the color orange, I'll use orange. I want to use this font, I'll use this font. So I spent a year running and trying and testing, and I did so much. And by the end of last year, I was just exhausted. And I started to learn enough, like, okay, don't burn yourself out. Just lie still, breathe a little bit, and figure out what you want to do. And so what came to me, Liz, was the very knowing that I know what I want to do. My problem is it's just stuck inside, right? It's in that inner you moment. And you can't get to that moment unless you sit in silence a little bit. Feel everything you're going through. And it was the first time in my life, honestly, that I did something so intentionally. So I ended 2022, met with you at the beginning of 2023. Like you, I wound up with COVID the month of January, which put me even more in the sit in silence and think things through. And here we are all these months later talking about it. So to answer your question, I just knew deep inside, I made all of these changes. I changed my life intentionally, but you can't get there if you're always running around and saying yes to everything. So that's what I learned, and I put it into practice in 2023.
Sometimes it's because when we spoke in January, we said about being a yes person. And of course, we said, obviously you shared, both of us have been in the past trying to please other people and saying yes. Yep. And of course, stopping doing that. Of course, when you get tired and then you're chasing, you're just going, okay, you suggest this. Yes, that sounds good. Yeah. Because
I'll make it work. And then it's not fully what you want.
Yeah. And then, of course, they said when you have COVID, because obviously when I had COVID it was November, but it was like, I was like, December, yeah, you're tired. It's the end of year. Got to January, had all these things I was trying to do, but I was only ever doing things like I was feeling good, but I knew I wasn't 100%. And it was like, I'm like going, okay, it must be because you're not focused. Oh, it's just because you're running around. The traffic's bad. I did get in a lot of traffic jams. Not gonna lie. And then I was like, I was finding excuses. And then I really found out that my whole system was blocked. My body was struggling. So I hadn't got 100% to give. And this is where, when you said that sit in silence, because I gone past the COVID, I was in that, let's go. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't go because there was no petrol in my car, as it were. I know we're just talking about cars. But let's talk about this silence, because people, in fact, silence is uncomfortable. Totally. So guys, if we sat here right now and we didn't say anything for 30 seconds and I turned the music off, because everyone knows there's love and music. We're on a date, love and music. Then I bet you'd all find it a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. How did you find it, Will? How did you find facing that level of discomfort to begin?
I suppose through my life's journey as a young adolescent, awkward teen, I was used to being very silent, antisocial, very shy, and reserved. So when I knew I needed to go back after actually going into the woods and visiting mountains and being part of nature, there was something inside of me that just kept saying, okay, this is what you need. And so maybe deep within, I'm comfortable with the silence because it's familiar to me from decades and decades ago. And so it is awkward, right? I'm always the guy at a meeting or a dinner, or you go somewhere, when it is quiet, I have to say something. I have to tell a joke. I have to introduce myself, which is fun and it's fine, but it's not always required. Like, you don't always have to be the first one. And sometimes being quiet and observing from my past, the shy Will past, that's where I learned so much about people. So I'm trying to have that balance between being, center stage and also being part of the audience to observe life and people. So I don't know. I'm enjoying that kind of,
Mhm.
I wouldn't call it tension, but that duality.
Mhm. I mean, I used to be very similar. So when I was a teen, my mum used to hate me. They moved to Wales, so late teens, early 20s. And they moved to Wales. And of course, I would put the bike in the back of the car and I would disappear up the Elan Valley. Now, the Elan Valley is like the dead zone for mobile signal. I wouldn't put a note on the fridge. I wouldn't send, obviously, my mum a text. Obviously, I had no mobile signal. I just went and it was amazing. I would disappear and I was quite happy. And then I come home, my mum goes, "Where have you been?" And I'm like, "I've been up there." She goes, "I thought something," because obviously, and at this point, I hadn't really sussed on, let's put my location on or anything. I just went and it was just freeing. I didn't feel any worry. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just like, I want to walk up this path. Let's go this path. And just completely being.
It's wonderful, isn't it? It's just wonderful.
And of course,
Follow
now we
that
get.
energy.
And of course, I
Follow the
think with COVID, I mean, Dave is obviously saying, he jumped in the comments saying it's a catalyst, spiritual awakenings.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine even said this earlier this year. She was struggling with getting back into the routine of work, running around. I was like, yeah, because what we've done, we've actually been forced to slow down. Our adrenals and everything have just calmed down because obviously a lot of us are running on this energy. And then we're kind of finding things to do with our time. We're cutting out things like the commuting and all the things that were keeping us busy.
Right.
And initially we were like, whoa, okay. And now it's the other way where we've had trying to find a way to speed up without.
I think what you say, if I could interrupt you for a second, that,
Yeah, of course.
about the intuition and finding that balance. As sitting in this very location 3 years ago, I'm part of this massive effort to figure out how do you reopen New York City museums. And you're daily on these cameras, on these calls, and you are spending so much energy. And it was probably one of the busiest times in my life. So once we reopened, once the world didn't come to an end when we reopened, I then started to kind of figure out what it is that I wanted to do when I grew up. And you learn skills by doing just this. You learn about other people. And the world that I lived in this tiny, well, it wasn't a tiny building, but in this one building, right, this one zip code here in Manhattan, I then realized, okay, it's time to get out of the zip code. Well, maybe go downtown, uptown, cross the river, that sort of thing. So intuition told me, end this chapter. You need to end this chapter. You love what you do, and you've been perceived as successful in what you do. But internally, I knew change. None of that would have happened if it wasn't for the silence and then the busyness and that recalibration. And so in intuition, it has been wonderful. That it's been 2 years since I made the decision, and it's been absolutely wonderful. So this topic and talking about intuition, I'm clumsy with how you put it into words, and that's where I think someone as smart and connected as you can help me do that. But you just have this internal knowing, and when you listen to it, you then have to realize you can't actually listen to everybody. You have to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Test, try, learn, adapt. And final thing I would say with the intuition, in finding this recalibration, I'm now in a spot where I've done less online because I'm craving to be back in the room with people. We were talking before the show started, public transportation versus your own car. I'm enjoying being with people again before everything happened. So
yeah.
So I just wanted to share that.
No, because I completely get it, because pre-COVID, in fact, COVID killed 60% of my income. Killed it. And it's not come back. Wow. It's that simple. So when people say about all this, and then of course, initially, everything was off.
Right.
So of course I managed to keep some going. Some came on for a bit more because it was locked out, and we had this sort of finding the balance, finding what I can, keep myself going with. And again, doing a lot of testing and all this. And this is why in some ways, I actually think the universe gave me this sign of having COVID and struggling afterwards, because it went, hey, you're still not going where you want to be. Stop, start again. Take everything that you've done and piece it so it works together. Don't run before you can walk.
Right.
And it was actually because I was trying to run and going, I'm not getting anywhere. And then someone actually saying to me, and like basically having physical panic attacks, and my body responded first. Then I actually sort of took the time to slow down and go, actually, where is my diary? Oh, okay, I'm doing this. Okay, where is my meditations? Where is the stuff that boosts my business, not working in my business?
Right.
It's the case if I can, this is one thing. So if anyone's self-employed, sole trader, independent, small group, maybe collaboration, freelancer, you'll end up just spending a lot of time doing anything you can for your business. But if you spend all your time for your business and in your business, you don't get to see the big picture. You need to step back to work on you and see what's going around.
I just want to add one thing for your audience that maybe does not know me. I split my year between New York City and Rio de Janeiro. So I am blessed to live in two very different, vibrant, energetic cities. So this is the New York portion of my year, right? When I first spoke to you, I was down in Brazil and came back in May. And I was questioning everything when I was coming back, right? I was doing less, I was being more present, and I was thinking about what my business is going to be, and I had a plan. And sometime last month, I surrendered to the very notion that maybe this isn't for me, maybe this isn't going to work out, maybe I should be doing something else. And I sat in silence, I listened to myself, and I was okay with whichever way this went. And I'm now dealing with potential 4 to 5 clients that a month ago I didn't know about. So I think I'm prepared to work on some of these things because I let go of trying to do the perfect thing. I don't know how to describe it. And being a solopreneur is new for me, but it takes time of the energy to do something and then stepping back and seeing what you put into it, how it could naturally unfold.
So I'm going to put something to you, because you just said there about how you sort of let go and think it wasn't for me. What we do is we get so obsessed with the goal. Okay, say for example, you've got £1,000 on a credit card and you want to pay off your credit card, and you're focused and going, okay, I'm going to check my credit card. I'm going to check my credit card. Every single day you're checking your credit card. Okay, I've managed to pay £50 off. Okay. You're so obsessed with outcome that money will never go down. So what we get focused on, and it's the sign of saying, if I haven't got money, I'm going to focus on getting more money. We focus on lack. So what do we attract? More lack in the same situation. The minute you let go and go, it's maybe not for me, I'm just going to enjoy where I am to see where it takes me, you actually release that sort of the need,
right,
which is exactly what it is. So when we focus on lack, need, holding on to something, this is the only way this is going to work, we close doors.
Exactly.
And as soon as we stop, we go, okay, you know what, these are my goals. I mean, okay, that's one of my sheets. I got like a little flow chart.
You're very organized.
Well, this is my play one. Okay, guys. So this is my play one. So this is the one where, like, I've even got in-person coffee with Michael. So Michael's in here, you know. But as things come up, they're fun and all this, I go, oh, yeah, I'll just scribble on this one. I'll just scribble. You know, said about new cars on there, right? But I have on my fridge, which is the big one. Okay. So on my fridge is the big one of, so what experiences do I want in my life? What growth? So guys, if you are looking for a new way to write your goals, here is a great way to do it. And it's also a great way to share. So I'll send you mine later and you can send me yours when you've done it.
Absolutely.
But what you'll find is if you're collaborating with people, you may find things that overlap. So left column is experiences. So things like, I want to get married, I want to travel to Mauritius, I want to travel, see my friend Will in New York, right? You can put whatever it is, doesn't matter how big or small. Then you put the growth. Who do I have to become? So if I said I want to speak on an international stage, then I need to perfect my speaking. So that would go in there. Then it's the contribution. So this is where we get it wrong, guys. Okay. We speak about ourselves. And actually, ultimately, I want more money so I have time to spend with my parents and help them in the garden. So I can go see my friends and I can give them a little hand with their well-being. Or maybe something I've thought of that Will hasn't. I can go over, we can have a coffee and actually, share knowledge, right? So it's what contributions do you want to make? And when you do this and share with people, you'll find things that overlap. You may have people that want to travel the same place. You may think, oh, amazing, we could do this together.
Exactly. I have found that some of the opportunities that come my way or the questions that come my way, I'm very active, or was more so, less so this year, but active on social media. So many of the opportunities or people that reach out or random messages are people who have been maybe watching the content, but they don't interact with it. So I don't even know that they're necessarily watching or reviewing, they're not liking. And I think it's so very important, if you stay true to that thing that you want to do and the things that you want to be, it somehow does come back to you. Right? If it's authentic, people can see that it's authentic, and we're not just here in front of a camera trying this sales pitch. We're not just trying to sell something. People are getting to know us in a way, and I think that's beautiful that it comes back when you least expect it, because it's coming back in a real way. It's not the sales pitch.
Well, before we get too far into this, because obviously we can go a bit more, I'm going to pull up Lee's comment, because Lee and Lizanne are having a little conversation in our chat, which is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful to see this. But what Lee's raised is a really powerful thing, because obviously quit his job because of stress. So many people have left their jobs or changed jobs in the last few years. So that's a bit more maybe than usual, but mental health has been huge. And obviously he's been lucky to take the recalibration and feels privileged, because not everybody has either the financial position, and I'm sure, Will, you had a lot of support from your husband.
Exactly. And I, like Lee, I love what Lee's just written here. I never for one moment just think that I'm some sort of, super smart, great person with money. I understand the privilege that it is that I'm able to do this, right? So I'm never one that wants to just go out there, hey, quit your job, do something new, start your own business. I understand that the privilege that I have, it's just enormous. So what I'm trying to do with that privilege and my love of working with people and building teams is to use my energy to pay it forward. And so I come from a place of gratitude, and I love what Lee put there. When you can realize that something is making you not the best you, and you are fortunate enough not to do it anymore, that's wonderful.
Exactly. And it's not, because this is where a lot of people assume incorrectly when they talk about becoming a solopreneur. It's a case of, I'm just going to start this up as a side hustle, but actually it is exactly the side hustle to begin with. You start developing yourself around your job, around something else, recognizing where you're at, maybe not what's needed. If you do have the position to step back and put your things first. But this is also why, if you notice, guys, if anyone who does follow me, you'll notice everything I promote is about using less than 4% of your day, so less than 1 hour or less, to positively impact your health and well-being. So you could spend 10 minutes on gratitude, 10 minutes on meditation, 10 minutes on journaling, 20-minute workout. You could literally spend a little bit on everything and do your whole body and mind so much good.
I have a question for you, Liz, because speaking about that, I can't function. My day does not work. I'm an early bird. I wake up very early. And if I don't have that hour or so to myself, and I sit in silence, there's no television, maybe I have a screen or a book. More days, these days, it's a screen of some sort to look at something. but I need to be quiet, let my thoughts wander, and that sets up my day. And so what tips do you give people? I've just done that since I've been very young. I do it naturally. And I know that it's a terrible day. I'm not the person to wake up and then get dressed and go out. I'll just be a monster all day long and nobody will want to be near me because I'll just be a mess. How do you teach people to find that 4%? How do you teach people to find that, to be the best you? You'll do it differently than I do. So I'm just curious, what do you teach people?
Well, it's got to be realistic in your lifestyle. So we sit down and look at your lifestyle to begin with. If you said, I get up at 7 o'clock, I take the kids to school at 8, we break it all down in how your day works. Okay. Because the first thing people say is, I haven't got time. Okay. So we look at the day and how it realistically fares up. Generally speaking, it's a case of, okay, you're saying you haven't got time to meditate. So could you get up 15 minutes early and do 10-minute meditation first thing? And actually, generally speaking, it's a yes.
Right.
Because you get up 10 minutes early. I mean, I get up, first thing I do, sometimes I don't even get out of bed, put my meditation on. I'm just like, I don't care who hears this. As loud as but probably need to, sometimes I turn it down. Right. But even then, and of course, the other thing, in fact, I've got it here. This is something I think that you will particularly enjoy, because trusting your intuition, you like that quiet space. So someone like yourself who is getting up and enjoying that quiet space, actually allowing yourself to your thoughts to flow. So I'll have to do probably a video on this, but allowing that sit in silence where you are. I mean, I use a theta beat, so I use a binaural beat. Use just breathing, just sitting and breathing, letting it go. And then I get my journal out, which is literally a minute a day. It's a page in the morning, page in the evening. Okay. In the morning, it says, today I woke up feeling 3 things will make today a good day. 3 things today I'm glad that. And my big question today is, sometimes I change that to my mantra. Okay. So after I've done my meditation, I then write. So some days it turns into like scribbly, God knows what, bullet points, bits of paper shoved in and all sorts.
I was going to ask you about that. Right. It's not just evenly written out, smooth.
Yesterday's.
Exactly.
The pink side, look, it's all like, and that's quite a neat page for me. But yeah, no, it's basically whatever I feel. And I don't tend to reread it because a lot of times I put it out. But the funny thing is, one time I wrote in here, my big question was whether I should quit some of my part-time work, because I was spending a lot of time traveling and all this. I went out, got a complete flat tire in my car, couldn't even make the session. I was like, well, there's my answer. Because I can change it. Here's the tip, guys. I can change a car tire in probably less than 10 minutes. I'm actually really good.
Never done it. I just call somebody and they show up.
Oh, I can teach you. I can teach you how to do it as well.
That's okay. Maybe you do a video and I'll watch it someday to help somebody else.
Okay. My dad told me as soon as I could drive, I can change my spark plugs and I can change my tires.
I'm impressed.
So, yeah, I've done a few things on my car. But I wrote these things down. So the questions I write. So when I'm specific and clear and I let it go, then you know how you notice you see things come up in your day. I'm seeing things shape. And generally speaking, is because I've spent that quiet, focus my mind, or just allowing, and then afterwards, just writing my little things.
I have a question for you, or have you ever done this? I too need to, I wouldn't say every single day, but most days I have to journal and write. And sometimes it starts out, it's going to be brilliant. This is the beginning of a book and it's all neatly written. And then it becomes scribbles and hieroglyphics and all sorts of things. I rarely go look at it, but once in a while I look through what I have written. And I'm always amazed at how you can look back at something you wrote weeks, months, or years ago, you've been telling we tell ourselves the same things over and over, or at least I tell myself the same things over and over and over. And some of the opportunities that have come my way this summer here, I was scribbling, maybe in a COVID seizure, I don't know, but I was actually writing things down. I had vague recollection, but I find that quite interesting. We tell ourselves things over and over, but isn't it interesting how we untell ourselves? Now, what's that? Just your thoughts from this morning?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. This is what I was talking about earlier, my little vision picture. So what I do is, as I go through things and I update, so now I'm on like the big bubble map. Okay, guys, so this is what you do. You develop the thoughts go. So I was on this picture and I was like Post-its on it, and it's just gone. I've got bits of paper where I've scribbled. I've got other Post-its and other notes.
I think that's great.
So
it's a way of us getting it out. It's a way of us getting it out.
It's my thought box, as it were, and I call it my traction. I call it my traction box, because obviously, like Law of Attraction, put out what you get in, and it's a case of, because I mean, I do have my book, so my journal book, you know, but sometimes I'm just sitting here, or I'd be sat in a cafe and I've got a notebook and I just write, and sometimes it's just a case of writing it and getting, you know, thoughts, feelings. Sometimes I'd be writing my goals. Sometimes I just go, I'm just going to write. I'm feeling really crappy today. I'm losing a bit of focus. I'm just going to write everything I'm grateful for. And literally, I've got a piece of paper with everything I am grateful for. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my clients. Thank you. Even thank you for my car, you know. It's gonna, I know that's fun. But
no. Hey, it's all about the gratitude. I'm seeing here in the comments, Ronald wrote something about retiring prior to the pandemic. And it kind of fits into the... I think the gratitude story we were talking about, or trusting that intuition. You know, I love how you put it here, Ronald, about reclaiming a life, right? I can't speak for how it works around the world, or in various cultures, but definitely a culture like New York. The first thing people want to know is your title. What do you do? Where do you work? Right? And my life in Brazil is not that at all. My life in Brazil is like, hey, that's Will, or you're with your circle of friends. And it's very, very interesting to, I love that. Claim a life, be who you are, regardless of the title or a paycheck. I think that's wonderful.
And this, when people ask me because I go out and I'm like I say wellness coach, I actually tell people, oh, I'm a happiness engineer. And people go, yeah, I can believe that. And they're like, so they're like, what do you actually do? And I went, well, what makes you happy? And I end up making them laugh. And I'm there going, this is kind of what I do. I help you reconnect with what makes you laugh.
So now our DNA, right? Okay, we'll have to do a separate show and figure it out. I am 48% Irish. No, I think 46% Irish, something like that. 4% Scottish. And 50% Italian, right? So I think we must have the British Isles there. We must have something in common there. It makes me think about duality, right? I am that person that needs to be quiet, and I could be in a crowd and no one will recognize me. I get all of that from my father, the Irish side. And then I flip a switch, and I'm 100% my Italian-American mother, who's taking care of the family, in the middle of people, and doing all of that. Do you too have that? Like, I need the quiet to be the person on stage, and I need to be on stage to be the person I enjoy being when I'm quiet.
Okay. Do you know anything about color energies? Have you ever done anything about that? Okay. So here's something for you all. We have, I'll say external, conscious and unconscious. Okay, so our conscious is when we're very active. Like now I'm very analytical, very lists. It's a very blue color. Okay, so there's basically 4 colors. So 2 are internal, 2 extroverted, 2 are introverted. Okay, so like the sunshine yellow is, hey, how you doing? Right, we're going to do this. Everyone's get involved. Let's come. We're going to love it. Really high energy. Okay.
I love orange. in what I do. Orange, yellows, all that bright stuff. Love those colors.
So yellow is really that sunshine color, that personality. You've got that sunshine. And if, like, for me, I dial up my yellow energy every single day, which means that when I drop, I'm done. I need that downtime, as in I'm exhausted.
We're related. Yes.
I will sit there and grunt. I am not even going to go. I go, yeah, all right. And I'm like, I don't even want to smile. I'm like, I'm exhausted. Right. Then, of course, so you've got the other extrovert one is very red. So that's your command and control. Let's do this. Let's get it done. Don't care. Done. You do it. Yes. Okay. So it's very directive, very assertive. We all have bits of each one. It's just we'll have a dominant and a more, as I said, it's conscious and unconscious. So when we're in like a meeting, we may dial up a certain energy. Like I said, it's put like on that mask. That's that persona that we can put on. So let me get to the other two and I will tell you, and you will, you're like absorbing now, I can see.
Yeah, my mind is racing. Go ahead.
So
the orange, red energy colors.
So you got the yellow and the red. And then, of course, opposite. So basically, the blue is the diagonal to the yellow. So they're the opposing, as it were.
The color
so the
wheel,
blue is,
right?
Yeah.
Color wheel, right.
So the blue is the analytical. So this is where you get a lot of mathematicians and things like this. And they respond well to lists and logical thinking, but they're introverted. So they're more likely, whereas the sunshine is going, okay, let's do this. We've got this list. Everybody who wants to do this, who wants to do this? Let's go. The blue's going, okay, now we've got 5 of these. Who wants to do all 5? Yeah. So you've got the opposite energy, okay? They work well together because they both work to list. So this is why they can communicate well. Whereas a red and a yellow would probably clash because one would find the other one annoying and vice versa.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right.
Then you've got the blue, and the blue is the friendly, the family, oh, that's great. Has everyone got something, try and get people included. But again, very much more relaxed, observer, things like this. Okay, so each one you've got all 4, right? So some of you will dial up, and some, if you're like me, will dial down consciously.
I would say at home life, I'm Mr. Blue. Right, blue shirt here. It's the blues. It's the Excel spreadsheets. I absolutely love numbers and analytics.
Yeah.
But when I'm out in the field or out in the world, I am just this ball of
yellow.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and I've never really looked at it. I mean, I should probably know a little bit more about color, a lifetime in museums, and I get what it is that you're speaking of, but I never thought about it in terms of how we all need to dial it up and down. You can't just be all blue, and you can't be all red.
You naturally have
You're
all
boss people.
Yeah. We naturally have all of them. So on mine, say there's a sort of line here. So I have my subconscious is greens is dominant, then it's just blue, I think, then just red. So they're all very high. When my yellow is like there's the line, here's the others, yellow's down here, right? So my yellow is very much not in the picture. Consciously, I dial down my green, dial down my red. So red's the conflict. So you can see I dial them down. They're still very high. My yellow, I dial up. So I bring this energy up. And it's very interesting.
So I would love to explore this more and learn more. If you could send me something or tell everybody who's watching, who's interested, like where we could study this, because I think that's my do less, be more. The understanding that I was running around with scissors and saying yes to everything out of enthusiasm, it drained me completely. And so intuitively, there was something that just said, slam on the brakes, press pause, breathe, kid, breathe. And I'm loving, you've just given me something to explore. I'm loving that dialing up and dialing down, because that's what life is about, right? It's about balance, and it's about understanding all the sides of ourselves. It's not just this one persona.
It's also like if you went up against somebody who's very red, and you're naturally, and you're out and about and you're like this, and you've met somebody and you're like, and you're aware of this, and you can start recognizing the things. What I'll do, guys, I'll put something in a picture that gives you a brief. I've got one. I'll put it in the comments afterwards. I'll put that in. And I'll send you, there is links. So you can do free assessments of this. I had a paid one when I worked, one of the companies I worked for. So you can, if you recognize what someone else is, you can respond to them in accordingly. It's not manipulation. For everyone thinks you're trying to manipulate someone. It's not.
No.
It's literally a case of, oh, I can see you this way. So if I come at you this way, we're going to actually have a conversation. Well, if I come at you this way, we're probably going to have an argument. And I don't want to have an argument with you. Or miscommunication.
Does that fall into like just emotional intelligence, right? Is it all connected? Because you have to understand when you're in a room, right, in front of an audience, in front of a group of people conducting a meeting, you have to know this is not the meeting that's appropriate for jokes. This meeting needs an icebreaker, right? You are constantly adjusting those. I'm going to now think of it as a printer. Those ink levels, right? Like you have to get the right color tone, because that's how you become an empathetic, or that's how you understand empathy, right? You have to understand, and not in a manipulative way, but you have to understand who you are with to understand how you are to be the best communicator in that moment.
And this comes back to, and this reverts all the way back to your emotional, mental well-being, because when you're in that way, you can kind of, when you're in a situation, you can recognize what's going on and see how to respond. Because we talk, we've had this already raised from Lee and everything about the stress of work and feeling it. If you're feeling stressed and burnt out, then you're going to struggle to respond in a clear way. So it doesn't mean to say you've suddenly got to go, okay, I'm agreeing, I'm naturally diverted, I don't like confrontation, I've got to become confrontational. It means that you can articulate in such a way that gets your point across, so that if you are coming across someone who is much more red and confrontational, or even a sunshine yellow, you don't feel that you're just being pulled.
Right.
And you can, like I said, that's when you start to explain what you need. You say, problems, these sort of things.
We've talked about this, and the recovering people pleasers in us, right? The people pleaser. I think we're never fully cured if you've been a people pleaser, right? You're aware of it, and you can be better at it and learn the word no. But I do believe that as part of my recovery from being that people pleaser was everything you've just described here, and the colors. There's something that's been posted a lot, and I've been seeing it a lot, and I don't know if the universe is trying to tell me. Learn to rest instead of quitting. Learn to rest, or rest instead of quitting. And I think when you're a people pleaser, at least from my experience, you can't quit. Everybody's relying on you, so you've got to be orange and red 100% of the time, which is impossible. And so when you understand that, I think it's game changing. And what you do and what you talk about is game changing, because it's all connected. There's different terminology, but there's different ways to bring it out in us. And I appreciate this conversation, because now you've made my brain explode.
And this is where we talk about intuition, and because it boils down to your well-being, your healthy habits. Because if you spend, it doesn't matter if you have one job and you spend your time, take whatever, if it's your relationship, and like we've all had that person we're going out with, and it's a case of you had an argument, you just need a bit of space, and they're like, why don't you talk to me, just talk to me, and you're just like, and you can't then think, so you snap, and it makes things worse. And it's exactly the same energy that you're putting out when you're holding on to work, when you're holding on to anything. If you're constantly going, help, you're going to go.
And we do this, right? It happens to those who are closest to us usually get the full-on explosion, right? So my husband will say to me at times, well, you're so kind to everybody else in all that you do, but how come you just ripped my head off? Are you hungry? Are you all of this? Because when it's in your inner circle, you're trying to keep this balance for everyone around you, but then when you're comfortable in your own sanctuary, you sometimes, unfortunately, maybe are a little bit shorter than you want. And so what I like that you just said here, Liz, we have to do it all the time. We have to be respectful and not just take it out on those closest to us, because they'll just get over it that we barked, right? How do we keep that wellness and that balance all the time, so we're always the best, and we're best around people that we love?
And there's no harm in turning to someone and say, look, I'm having a bad day, I'm going to snap. And they'll go, okay, I know not to push buttons today, I respect that. Or if, they really want an orange button, or they're going to go and do, and you're just like, you're going to poke the bear.
I'm better now. A very quick story. I'm better now, but when it's around noon, I used to get hangry, right? I used to get so hungry, I'd blow up and I would be short with people. It got to one point in my career, and I'm better now, people would approach me, look at their watch and saying, have you eaten yet? And I just thought, like, wow, my habits, people understood, yeah, you could probably talk to Will, but don't go near him when he's hungry. Like, this idea of taking care of yourself, I then started to understand that don't let long times go between meals. Have a snack ready, because you don't know what's going to happen. And that poor person that you just, bit their head off didn't deserve it just because you didn't eat, right?
I love being hungry. I get it a lot. I eat all the time. I've already had 4 meals today, I think, or 3 meals and a snack, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've obviously had a comment here, which I think is a great one to learn. The points have been said where we can figure out which instance it is correct, because obviously David's actually pulled up a great point. It's important to discern which is get best an emotional reaction, and this is where we get into the power of when you actually sit quietly. The initial things is like, oh God, am I doing this? I'm bored, or all the initial sort of emotions that come up, the conscious thoughts. And initially you'll find that you'll be sitting there going, well, you should be doing this, or the bad thoughts, maybe you're silly, you're stupid, you could criticize yourself, and you'll find this. But when you sort of allow this to be and can get your mind to be quiet, then you'll start sensing things. And I keep saying, oh, I saw glitter as well. This is the other thing I had the other day. I was like, I saw glitter. And I was like, why am I seeing glitter? What's going to be glittery in my life? I walked on the bus 2 days later. Was it maybe the next day? And this little girl had this sequin sparkly top, the colors that I saw. Wow. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to speak to like a 3-4-year-old girl, because like mum maybe think it's a bit weird, right?
Stay away from the creepy lady.
Yeah. But on that bus then I bumped into someone, like that little girl got off, then somebody bumped into that bus that I hadn't seen for like 4 years.
Wow.
Since pre-COVID. Someone who used to do yoga all the time and used to try and encourage me to teach, and I was like, yeah, I'm teaching now, kind of thing. And I just went, okay, I'm clearly on the right path, because I saw something in my quietness, and then I was recognizing, I wasn't like scanning and looking out for glitter everywhere, but I was just being observant and being aware of what was going on in my world. And because I saw this little girl.
We think these things are coincidences, but it's just the more that we calm down, breathe, and align ourselves with it, I think it's just amazing. The potential to do so much more and to be our full selves is just incredible with that slowing down. And that intuition question is, I had to learn, and I guess we were always learning, to understand that emotional reaction versus that conversation you're having from within.
Yeah.
I'm understanding the emotional, hangry Will, right? I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm impatient. I'm understanding that. I feel that differently than that quiet inner, this is the right thing to do, Will.
But then, of course, because you've taken the quiet, you've gone, okay, this is hangry Will. Okay, what can I do to either resolve hangry Will, or to keep that emotions to be much more balanced, so I don't feel like I'm just this flicking from one side to the other. Exactly. Like you said, snacks and things like this. Exactly. But also, I think the great point to mention here is because if you've done visualization and like meditations and that.
Dabbled, but I'm not anything formalized. David Hansen, who's on this show, he's someone who's helped me a little bit. He's a transformation coach, and we've talked about. I haven't done anything formalized, but from my conversations with him, I've done the things that you're talking about. I just don't have a name for them.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I've obviously learned, visualization, and this is, I think, very appropriate for intuition, is we are all different. So I'm an empath. I feel things. And this is one thing about me practicing all these different meditations is I'm like I said, I saw glitter. I can't really see, like some people will go, oh, I saw a mountaintop and I saw this. And I'm there going, I saw sunbeam. I was like staring into the sun. And then I saw glitter. And of course, it was a bright sunny day. I saw this little girl with glittery top. I couldn't see. I was seeing symbols and feeling emotions. And when my friend did this with me, I put some in my hand. I was seeing sun. I was seeing whichever. Then I felt the overwhelming emotions of it. So I'm empathic. So I will feel. Some people will see. So if you take a meditation, you may start seeing things. Sometimes it's feeling, sometimes it's slightly different. So if your intuition is coming up in some other way, that's okay. But when you start being quiet, you allow your intuition to come up naturally.
I find that this journey, since separating from such a high demand, high responsibility role that I was in, this couple of years to experiment on my own, I'm taking all of those decades of real work where I was staying in my lane and starting to understand or reflect back. So much of what I did was intuition because I was feeling the moment of the people I was responsible for, or I was in the moment putting myself in the shoes of the visitors who were coming in. I'm just now learning how that all works. I did it. I guess I didn't, you can't say I did it blindly. I did it without appreciating it. And now I'm in this phase where I want to appreciate it so I can do more of it because I understand it in a very human way, where before I was human, but I was in a role that didn't allow me to slow down. And that's what I'm loving about these kinds of conversations with you. And I intuitively focused on people my entire life, but I didn't understand it in a way that makes sense to me now in how I could do it even more to help others. And it's not about my career anymore. It's about how do I do more of that to help others do it. Because the world needs people like you, Liz, right? We need to be thinking, caring, and people who are looking to make our worlds better.
Yeah, you just paused for a brief moment there, but you were back.
See, my energy just messed up the Wi-Fi, sorry.
Too much, you can't cope. It's like, whoa,
Okay.
overload.
Yeah, less red.
But obviously David said here about you meditating different ways, more in silence, and that's the thing. When people think meditating it's chanting, like I said, sometimes I listen to beats, sometimes I listen to a guided, sometimes I sit in silence. I prefer to set something playing, because then it sets my time that I'm meditating for. Because then if my chimp brain starts active, I go, no, music's playing, no, we're okay.
Right.
And then when the music finishes, I go, and if I'm completely zen, I'll stay for as long as I want. But if I know I've got to get ready for clients and stuff, I can go, okay, I'll slowly bring myself around, bring myself back, and on with the day. But like, you could go for a walk. Well, one that you would actually love, which is more into savoring, so that mindfulness thing, is that sort of coffee shop, sitting in a coffee shop in a window with your coffee, just sitting with your coffee, observing, no phones down, just
Yeah,
being.
these, right? I'm older than you are, so I'm from a generation that just I did not grow up with these, right?
I
So
do.
I can go to a world where you're disconnected, although I don't do
Yeah.
that as much as I want to.
Yeah. See, I did get a mobile when I was like 14 because my mum needs to call me and it could save 10 text messages. So if a message went on for 2, that was 2 credit.
Yeah,
We're showing our ages now.
yeah,
Still not primes.
exactly.
Still not primes. Okay, because basically, if you start trusting your intuition, I mean, Will, how young do you feel?
There's no doubt. I am pushing 60, and I am completely and totally younger than I was when I was 25. I was an old man for 30 years, right? So 25-year-old Will to 55-year-old Will was people pleasing, conservative, had fun. I am completely and totally younger and happier than I've ever been in my life. And it's because I've let go of trying to control everything and please everyone. And it's just changed everything. And I'm getting results, right? We get results.
Surprising.
It's just absolutely amazing and blessing. So I hope I can help support you with your message and what you do, because I think what you do is just fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to close on this powerful note because that ties beautifully into what Will said. Obviously, we're never too old. Ronald said retiring. Lee, you guys have changed jobs. There's so many people. It's never too old to change your life.
Right.
You have to make the conscious decision to make the change. But of course, there's always weighing at risk. Don't just be frivolous. You know, we all have bills to pay. Don't just be frivolous unless it really is make or break. So the line I would use will be keep your head in the clouds, but your feet on the ground. So allow yourself to dream, put those dreams, dream big, allow your heart to sing, let your soul set alight, but put things down on paper. Take the daily steps and be reasonable with it, because when you have a bad day, you can go, it's okay, I'm having a bad day. And you can allow yourself that space. And then, of course, you can keep dreaming. And we look forward to seeing you up in those clouds. So.
Yes. Love that. That's wonderful. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for having me here today.
It is very well. And there's the perfect line to send. Never too old, never too late.
Agree with you, Ronald. It's wonderful.
So on that note, where's my little video? I've got to take that down first. And we go. Bye.